Hey guys, it's Mike here, and in this video, I'm going to be listing off my top 10 movies of 2018. 2018 definitely had its ups and downs, with some movies being great, but others being massive disappointments. Looking back, it actually took me a little longer than I expected to come up with this list, because of how all over the place cinema was in 2018. Now, I didn't get the chance to see every movie in theaters this year, so I likely missed out on a few big ones here and there, and it's possible that this list would actually look different had I seen some of them, but I can only talk about the movies I have seen. So with that being said, here are the 10 best movies that I saw in 2018. Number 10, Ant-Man and the Wasp. So Ant-Man 2 was a good follow-up to the original Ant-Man, and served as a breath of fresh air for those who watched Infinity War. This movie had some good comedy, fun action sequences, and a solid emotional core. Now it does have the problem of making Scott Lang seem too incompetent and having too many villains, which is a problem with many comic book movies, but that didn't hold it back from being one of the best comic book movies of the year. I wasn't too interested in the film when I heard that it wasn't connected to Infinity War. It seemed like filler, which I can tell that a lot of others agreed with, due to this film's box office performance. However, it was a good sequel to the original, and another fun Marvel movie. Number 9, Deadpool 2. So Deadpool 2 was a sequel to the incredibly successful Deadpool. Once again, Ryan Reynolds dons the mask of the Merc with a mouth in this movie that goes bigger and crazier than even before. Now, bigger isn't always better, and I don't think that this is quite as good as the original, but it is still a fun sequel that combines elements of Terminator with classic X-Men and Deadpool stories. And it really brings the laughs in a big way, especially the end credit sequence. I'd say that Deadpool 2 is worth checking out, although likely with the theatrical cut instead of Once Upon a Deadpool. Number 8, Incredibles 2. Now, I always liked the original Incredibles as a kid, and rewatched it many times since it first released. It still holds a place among my favorite Pixar movies to this day. With that being said, I had some high expectations for the sequel. Nonetheless, Pixar did a great job with the follow-up. While I didn't like it as much as the original due to the weak villain and some other elements, this was a fun superhero movie with some great visuals that showed why Pixar is still one of the best animation studios going today. And after this, I wouldn't mind seeing an Incredibles 3. Number 7, The Night Comes for Us. Now, I had never heard of this movie until recently. Coming out on Netflix, it was an Indonesian action movie starring Joe Taslim and Iko Uwais from the Raid films. That certainly piqued my interest, and upon seeing it, The Night Comes for Us has to be one of the best action movies in recent years. There are some incredible action sequences featuring chase scenes and fights that Taslim and Uwais take part in, all with a hard R rating and some intense violence. However, it's done in kind of an over-the-top way that makes it entertaining. This isn't quite as good as the Raid movies, and there's some iffy effects here and there, but if you're looking for an awesome modern martial arts action movie, then check this one out. Number 6, Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse is the best animated movie that I saw all year, and one of the best Spider-Man movies, period. It has an interesting visual style, some strong characterization, interesting action sequences, and a fun narrative. I have recently noticed, however, a lot of people overpraising this movie, claiming that it's a 10 out of 10 or the best Spider-Man movie, which I don't really agree with. This film certainly does have its flaws, and it didn't really resonate with me as much as Spider-Man 2, but nonetheless, it's one of the best movies of 2018 and definitely worth checking out. Number 5, Aquaman. Now, going into Aquaman, I didn't really know what to expect. On one hand, I'm a fan of James Wan and enjoyed Jason Momoa's portrayal in Justice League. However, DC doesn't exactly have the best track record of movies in recent years. With that being said, Aquaman was one of the best blockbuster movies of the year, and perhaps the best DCEU movie so far. With fun action sequences, great visuals, and a strong portrayal of the title character from Momoa. As a result, I really ended up enjoying this. Now, the script certainly could have been better, as well as some other things here and there, but I definitely think this is worth seeing, and hopefully this is a sign of what's to come for DC in the future. Number 4, Creed 2. Creed II is another movie that had a lot of expectations to live up to. The first movie reinvigorated the Rocky franchise with a great portrayal from Jordan and great direction from Coogler, allowing Creed to become one of the best of the series. However, Creed II also ended up being great, in no small part because of how it took the storyline for Rocky IV and humanized its villains. You understand exactly why Ivan and Victor want to win just as much as you do with Adonis. Overall, I think I prefer the original Creed, but nonetheless, this was another great entry into the Rocky franchise. Number 3. Black Panther. Up next is Black Panther, which many people have said is the best comic book movie of the year. While I don't agree with that, I definitely think it's one of Marvel's best solo movies. Showing the story of T'Challa as he becomes the king of an advanced but secret civilization of Wakanda. His reign is tested by Michael B. Jordan's Killmonger, who was wronged in the past and seeks to rule over Wakanda and bring about social upheaval around the world. This movie had some strong action sequences, humor, and one of the MCU's best villains to date. However, the third act is a little messy, and the Claw was kind of wasted. Nonetheless, it's one of the best of the year and deserves to be on this list. Number 2. Mission Impossible Fallout. So I'm a fan of the Mission Impossible movies. It's one of the best action series of all time, with only one movie that I don't like, being Mission Impossible 2. However, since Mission Impossible 3, these movies have only continued to increase in quality. This continued until we got to Mission Impossible Fallout, which is by far the best of the series. The action sequences in this movie are incredible, most of it being performed with practical effects, and with Tom Cruise doing his own stunts. That's especially crazy when you see him doing things like climbing up the side of a helicopter and jumping across rooftops. If I was only judging in terms of pure action, this would be the best movie of the year. However, there is one movie that I've seen this year that I think resonated with me and most audiences even more. Number 1. Avengers Infinity War. So what more can I really say about this movie? This is the beginning of the culmination of 3 phases of MCU movies, featuring most of our favorite heroes battling a villain who has built up since the first Avengers. This movie had a lot to live up to, with Thanos especially needing to be impressive. It seems like there were many ways that this could have gone wrong, and yet it ended up being incredible. Thanos is definitely the best part of this movie, taking center stage as he collects the Infinity Stones. It's great seeing his motivations perfectly explained to the audience, even if they don't necessarily stand up under scrutiny. It's also great seeing all of our heroes do their best to stop him, only to come up short in the end. This is one of the best Marvel movies so far, and my number 1 movie of 2018. So what are your top 10 movies of 2018? Let me know down below. Also, if you're new to this channel, then don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications so that you can see all of my videos right away when they come out. And make sure to stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
Yeah, and you better subscribe.